Why, hello, YouTube. This is Balamage again, and I've been trying out Torchlight for the first time. So, I want to address some things right away. One, I've had no sponsors and no dealings with this company. Two, I have not played this game before. Three, I went in completely blind. So, there's going to be two sort of things this video is addressing. One, just my initial thoughts on Torchlight, whether it's worth your time coming from PoE, if you're going to enjoy it or not, and two, the build I played. But specifically, this is not going to be a build guide. This is the kind of build that's it's already around. I didn't look at the guides. There's already versions of it on max roll. This is just what I came up with, completely free to play, whatever I could figure out. So I will be doing more builds in here, and I will be making some builds that are new now that I understand what the hell's going on. I think there's a ton of builds that are not covered well in videos or guides that look really good, but I'm gonna have to play around with it. So for starters, let's start with Torchlight in general. First of all, incredibly pleased with how deep this game is. Coming as a PoE player over to a game that looks like this, it looked like initially that it might be fun for a few days, but it really felt like it was going to be, more like something closer to like the Minecraft ARPG than PoE or anything, because of its visual appearance. It's very, very cartoony, and I thought it can't be that deep. It's not going to be that deep. Turns out it is very, very, very deep. There are you get to ascend 3 different times to 3 different classes that you get to choose out of what looks like 20 odd options, full trees in every single one of them. And then there's socketing your skill gems with supports, same as we do in PoE, but that's all done by generic power that you get given via levels or via energy on gear, giving you an ability to socket 5 links or 6 links or whatever in a bunch of different abilities. So a bunch of different ways to get power there. There's 7 other screens that have different min-maxing options and just different options in general, and just the amount of build customization that's available in this game, way higher than I thought. It is just way, way, way deeper than I imagined that it would be for a game that looks like this. And to be clear, I don't mind a game that looks like this. I just was expecting it to be a very temporary thing. I was expecting it to be oh, this will be fun for a few days. But I was expecting it wouldn't be deep with meaningful builds and decisions and stuff that mattered. But it is actually a lot of stuff that matters. There are a few bad points, but not many. In fact, there's realistically only 2 bad points. There is a little bit of pay to win in the game, so we should start with that. It's not excessive. It is significantly less than Undecember had when it launched. Probably similar-ish to what Undecember is now with the new league start, where they pulled back on a lot of the pay to win stuff. So I haven't spent a single cent yet, and I haven't really felt limited in my ability to do anything. The only exception is that some of the classes have paid versions of those classes, which aren't necessarily exceptionally better. They're just different. It's literally just a different ascendancy, and some of those are not available free to play from the beginning. You can earn all of those by playing, but it looks like you'll get on average 1 new character unlock per season. Not like I could play for a week and unlock a character and then play it for a week and unlock another character. It's a pretty meaningful amount of time to unlock the extra characters. They're not necessarily specifically more powerful, but if you want to play them, you will have to spend a few dollars. So that's a bad thing. The other bad thing that I was pretty unhappy with is the amount of collect this reward, collect that reward, collect this reward, collect that reward in like 15 different menus. That can get a little bit annoying. That's very much a mobile thing. It very much feels like a mobile thing, and it is a little bit frustrating to deal with. So there is that. But other than those two things, it legitimately feels like a in-depth, really meaningful, really snappy feeling, fast-paced combat ARPG. And I really, really, really enjoyed it. So I have to say, if you're starting to get bored of PoE and you haven't given Torchlight a go, I have to suggest you give Torchlight a go, even completely for free. If you can just download it on Steam, and it's great. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump in game and show you the build that I am currently running.
But for peace.
All right. So this is my character. He is a dwarf man with a beard. I think he's called Moto. I'm still pretty new. So again, this is not a build guide. There are versions of this build on Maxroll and done by different content creators on YouTube. If you want to look up actual build guides, you should do that and you should follow them. This was my very first character and I did it without looking at any of the build guides. So I'm just going to quickly go over some of the things that I did, just because I wanted to experience like how this game would be if you knew nothing and followed nothing. So to start with, I ended up with 6 of these little spider robot things, and these things are exceptionally good at clearing because they have a bunch of projectiles and they attack like this and they clear entire screens. They also do pretty good single target, so that was cool. That was very cool. We do have them here. I have set up one for single target, so 3 of my robots have some single target with these links on them. And the other one is set up for clear. It's just one socket different. I've got LMP in one of them. This is how we do all of our sports in this game. So that's it. Because I have 2 versions of it and each one of them has 3 minions, I just have one single target and one clear. Eventually, I would not need this clear version at all because there are other ways that are better to get extra projectiles. I'm running 2 auras that I found here. I have absolutely no idea if they're the best ones, but these are little aura slots. This is how all of the skills work in this game. So these are all of my aura slots. You can link auras together. In this case, this is just 2 actives linked together, so they're not like supported or anything. But we got precise projectiles giving us a bunch of projectile damage, and weapon amplification giving us a bunch of extra fizz because they're all fizz minions. I do have this guy who is essentially like a golem. He is another minion. All he does is give me a buff though. He gives me attack and cast speed buff, which just helps me leap slam around faster. It only applies to me, not my minions, so it's not huge. But I do support him with mark support. So when he hits enemies, he makes them take 40% crit damage, which is pretty cool. And I have what is essentially vitality, rejuvenation, on this, which is essentially blood magic, seal conversion. So that's cool. I have this, which is just a convocate. It gives me a bunch of command and it pulls them all to me. The cooldown on this starts at 5 seconds and I've got a bunch of cooldown reduction. So it's actually up all the time. And this one, Machine Army, which is basically just an attack and cast speed buff for my minions. Same thing, also on blood magic, also with a lot of cooldown. So I get to run around and pull them to me pretty often. I can pull them all to me very, very often. But you do that for different reasons. There's honestly quite a decent amount of movement speed in this game, and I can leap slam around pretty decently. I did manage to get myself up to...
Please select the calibration intensity for invincibility number 2.
A little over 20 million DPS according to the dummy. We have the technology. They have a dummy in this game, and you can properly test your damage. So there we go. 25 to 26-ish mil is about where I'm sitting. There are plenty of builds that deal hundreds of millions of damage. So you could say this is low, but also I've been obliterating all content with it. So I've been fine with it so far. I have not gotten to any of the tier 8 stuff. I stopped at tier 7 because I'm going to make an actual character that's new now that I have a way more understanding. What I will show people, just for the people who know what's going on, is I will quickly glance through my little talent area so that everybody can see what's going on. So for people who haven't played it before, these are my 3, I guess you want to call them ascendancy things that I picked, like classes that you get to put points in. There are a lot of them, so I picked those 3, but there's this many of them, which is quite a lot. So there's quite a lot of decisions to be made. Every single one of them has a full tree, and every single one of them has 2 like specialty points at the top, which is very cool. And then you also get this thing, which is basically just gear that doesn't go on your character. It's like gear for your skill tree, I guess. And you unlock more points as you get higher. You can see I haven't unlocked all of them yet, and you get different sized pieces that you can like fit in like a jigsaw. So that's pretty cool. Right, so we started God of Machine. This is how this tree looks for those who know enough about the game and want to have a look at how I did things. I went Machinist next. We did this thing. And then we went Warlock. And we went like that. I'm going to be honest, I have no idea if there are like path of buildings or planners for this. But if there are, I will try and put one together if enough people care. But I've got to be honest with you. This is not a build guide. This is just me showing what I did. I don't think anyone should copy my build. This is literally the first build I have ever done. This video was mostly just about how happy I am with Torchlight and how surprised I am by how good it is. So now that I'm getting into it, now that I've got a much better idea of what's going on, I'm going to maybe try and make some decent builds that are good that also aren't covered in other guides. So hopefully that'll be fun. That's what I'm going to be doing for probably the next few weeks until D4 launches. So I hope if you haven't given Torchlight a go, that you come over and give it a go. Again, no sponsored bits. Nobody paid me for any of this. These are all my own opinions. I really enjoyed it. I encourage everybody to come over and give it a go. And I will see everybody next time. Goodbye.